So you're curious about buying an EV, but you want to hear from someone who actually put their money where their mouth is. Well, welcome back to Trunk Talk. My name is Charlotte, and I am joined with...
Garth.
And what do you do?
I work here. I'm the used car manager, but I bought an EV6 in their first year.
And that's going to be the key, is that he actually bought it. He has money on the line. So what we're doing in today's episode of Trunk Talk, which is the podcast where we focus on all things in the automotive industry. Today we're doing it a little bit more personal, a little bit more of an interview style. And we're going to be going through 10 core questions that a lot of people who are shopping for an EV may want to know, especially after someone has had one for several years of ownership now.
Yeah, closing in on 3.
Yeah. So first things first, what EV do you have?
I have a 2022 Kia EV6 GT Line Pack 1.
Wow, there you go. And you've had it for just under 3 years, is that what you said?
Right about, I think it's almost 3 years. I'm at 2.5, 3 years right now.
So what made you choose this one specifically?
For the styling, performance, everything else, obviously. The Pack 1 or the Pack 2, specifically the enhanced safety features. And at the time, we were in serious constraints for inventory. So I went with Pack 1 because it had a much shorter list. So I could find my way into it faster than the Pack 2 as it was then.
That's also all the old naming platforms.
I'm aware.
Like, we're all out of that now.
I personally prefer that naming.
It's way easier than what we got going on right now.
It is what it is.
So, okay, can you walk through what is your daily type of driving? So, like, do you do daily commuting? Do you do lots of errands? Is it road trips? And also, do you have another vehicle in your household?
My wife actually drives the EV6 more than I do because I work at a dealership. In the warm weather, I'm on a motorcycle. In the winter, I borrow a car from work. So she's using it more regular. I typically drive it on the weekends or the evenings. So my habitual stuff will be out of town ventures on weekends, errands around town. You know, I have a son doing local things with him. My wife is a lot of local errands, but we have family in Hamilton, so there's a lot of back and forth to Hamilton every week as well. So it's kind of short commuting, and then I mean, how do you define a road trip? I mean, I do lots of trips to Toronto or Barrie or within a couple hours of Brantford, but I've yet to say do an East Coast road trip, which we are planning for. I think not this summer, but maybe next year.
And is that the car you're planning on taking?
Probably, if we're doing that. I'll still be driving it by then, so yeah.
There you go. So what's your charging setup like?
At home, we have level 2. Standard charger that way. If I have the car with me at work, I've got chargers here, but 99% of my charging is all home-based.
Yeah.
If you're not going to do that, don't buy an EV. I personally don't think it makes sense.
Do you do a lot of fast charging? Or public fast charging?
Only if and when it just seems convenient. If we were at, was it Mapleview? We were at a mall in Burlington a couple weeks ago, or IKEA even. Well, they don't even have fast chargers at IKEA, but anyway, there's several of them there, and if it's convenient, whatever, sure. But it's unnecessary. I've been to north of Barrie, and obviously fast charged on the 400 somewhere on the way home. But other than that, not typically. If I do it 10 times a year, I'd be surprised.
Cool. So definitely not too much.
No.
But okay, this one, it wasn't on my question list, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Because you predominantly do home charging, have you noticed any, like, a huge bill increase?
No, not at all.
Yeah?
It was one of the reasons I made the swap. I previously, with driving habits in my previous car, I spent maybe $70 a week, was I think what I figured was the average on fuel with just the life we lead and what we do. My electricity bill didn't even go up $30 a month.
Oh wow!
It's like
so way cheaper than tank fuel.
Not even close. It's like genuinely.
Especially with the way gas prices are right now.
Yeah, I was surprised by it. I've had a ton of my customers. I've had one customer, and he's even come back to me. His most expensive electricity bill at home went up. I think he said it was almost $60 a month. However, he's doing, I think in 6 months of driving, he'd done 24,000 kilometers.
Holy, yeah, that's a ton
insane
of
amount of driving. So he just lives in the car for work purposes.
Yeah, makes sense. So let's talk about range.
Mhm.
Have you noticed any type of degradation for your battery, or like how is it held up versus summer versus winter?
I'm actually getting more range now than I did when I bought it.
Wow.
I'm
Learns driving habits.
It's that, I suppose. It's also, I think they've done a couple software battery management updates over the time. So the book says 450, and that's not an inaccurate assessment. In the winter, I typically, at around 0 degrees, I would say I see around 380 to 400 kilometers range. For every degree below 0, it dips. The lowest I've ever seen my car in the winter, I think, was around 330 or 340 fully charged. Is that right? Yeah. But we were close to -20 for a bit of the range there. In the summer right now, if I fully charge, I'm over 500 on the projected range. And the one thing I found is the car's incredibly accurate, at least learning driving habits. If it says I'm going to get 400 out of it and I'm taking a drive, to North Toronto or the zoo, I don't know where I'm going. It's going to be real.
And it's not just your car, right? Like, this is not just some one-off thing. Like, we actually recently had one traded in. I'm pulling this in because you're a used car manager.
Yes, it's true. Yeah. No, the battery degradation has been. I think it was a genuine fear, and that was probably due to lack of knowledge or experience or real-world testing. But I think as EVs they've been around a long time now, and their absorption or adoption is much more commonplace. We're starting to realize it's not really something to fear. Caveat to that, I don't super fast charge all the time. There are some people who are doing that every day. I can't account for that reality, but the one we recently had in on trade was a 2022 with 30,000 kilometers, and we'd fully charged, and just like mine, it was in the 500 kilometer bracket, which was better than initial specs on the car.
Rate of range, the estimated range. So I know you talked a little bit about range in the winter, but has there been anything else that surprised you with the vehicle in the winter? Like, I'm even talking about like handling, starting up the vehicle. Any surprises?
So snow tires, get them.
Yes.
I'm not gonna listen. The car, it comes with all seasons, and all seasons work, but these are heavier than anything else their size counterpart based off the battery, and you'll notice it, especially if you're driving a rear-wheel drive one. You better have snows. Other than that, what is a perk? Your heated seat, your heated steering wheel, and just the car in general, it's warm before I'm out of the driveway. And I'm not saying I'm warming up the car. I start the car, I start backing up. I have a long driveway; it'll hold about 5 or 6 cars, but you feel it immediately. You don't have to. We know about preconditioning and all that, but it's not like warming up a gas vehicle. It's instant. It's electric heat.
Yes.
And so in that sense, it's wonderful.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's one thing I kind of miss. Okay, what do you like the most about owning an EV?
My gas station's in the garage.
Yeah, you never have to go back to a gas station unless you want to.
It's the one, I have motorcycles, so yeah, I do it, but it is the one thing I actually notice the most. And my wife particularly realized it as well, that you never set foot. Now, we're not saying it gains you a ton of time. You're going to the gas station twice a week, maybe. But it's a convenience. It's also, I know there's a lot of people who fear the notion of range anxiety, but I wake up every morning with a full tank of gas if I want to. And so I never suffered.
I'll say that too, like with range anxiety, because this is kind of what you were talking about a little bit before, is like just talking about, growing in knowledge and then with growing in knowledge, you grow in confidence. And that's going to be basically how you alleviate range anxiety. Like the more that you do it, and the more that you practice it, and the more that you kind of build it into your daily routine, that's when you see that diminish. Because even when I was doing a road trip, I kind of lost a little bit of the range anxiety feelings. Because I was like, okay, I'm getting more comfortable with this. I understand how it works. I understand what I can do. And that was all predominantly fast charging too. So
look, I mean, you charge your cell phone every night. And if you're going on somewhere, you take a battery pack with you. It's a different mentality. You have to retrain your brain to think. But if you're ever worried about, I've only ever been to, it has happened, but on a few things where I'll pull up to a charger in public and this one's out of order, so I have to move one spot over. I've been to a gas station where the pump was out of order.
Yeah.
I've never had to wait for a charger.
That's good.
I know we can see the long lines in California. I don't know what's going on in California. Maybe nobody has a home charger because they have a weird infrastructure network. I don't know.
Yeah, this is isolated to like Southern Ontario.
Literally, no. I've never had to do it, and I think it's a fun narrative for those who speak against them. I don't think EVs are perfect. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think they are 100% of the future. They're definitely a valuable 30% of the market for sure. And if you're commuting and you're not in one, I don't know what you're doing. I'm just being honest. The fuel savings and cost savings alone are there. Even maintenance, this is maybe a segue. I obviously swapped my wheels. My car is at around 50,000 kilometers now. I'm not sure what it's at exactly, but obviously it was in, and I decided to have my brakes looked at when we were doing the wheel swap. My pads and rotors are still almost brand new because you don't use them.
Because it's basically all like, you're not using a lot of friction braking. Now you want to make sure that you do it every so often. That way you don't, get rusty rotors and stuff like that. But it's essentially all braking by wire. You've heard of a shift by wire. This is going to be braking by wire.
And all of our new ones, mine doesn't have the software, but the newest ones have a brake
disc cleaning mode.
That thing.
Yes.
And I think it's automatic.
You turn it on. Yeah.
Okay.
You turn it on through the screen.
My theory is I put the car in reverse and I drive and hit the brakes really hard a couple times.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that's what someone told me.
Yeah, pretty much. Use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you feel like you're saving money in the long run? You kind of already touched on that.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah. So between obviously fuel savings, maintenance, obviously EVs are going to have a higher acquisition cost if you're purchasing outright financing or leasing. Do you feel like it outweighs the benefits, or do you think it evens out?
I do. So the car I was driving before was I'd had a Kia Sportage, and then they brought out the Seltos, and I was just curious. Obviously, tried new product, and I went with one of the Seltoses, which was a nice little car. But I think the one I had was about 40,000. And so, yeah, this one was a lot more money moving into the EV6, but no, it ended up being actually, I would say, cost efficient. I'm saving money driving it. There's almost no maintenance. My car goes into the shop twice a year, but that's because I'm swapping tires.
Yeah.
And I get the inspection while I do it.
Yeah, may as well, right?
Yeah.
Have you had any frustrations that you've run into?
No, well, so there was, I've had one recall, and the recall was for a problem with, if you're researching the car, you'll probably see it. The computer that controlled the recharging of my 12 volt had shorted out, and so I was halfway to work, and I didn't make it. And then about 9 months later.
So dramatic. I didn't make it.
I didn't make it. Yeah,
anyway. You are still here.
I made it later that day. And then it happened again 8 months later, but I've had, 12 volts die in a gas car before. It is what it is. And I'm not going to say you could get around it. I have a little lithium boost pack in my car because I had it with my previous cars. Turns out I could have hooked that up to the 12 volt and probably drove here. I'm not saying to do that. I took the tow truck, but it was a weird little side thing.
Well, with all that being said, my last question is, would you buy an EV again, and would it be a same make, same model, or would you do something completely different, or gas again?
No, so the answer is yes, because my wife has actually told me I'm not allowed to buy her anything else. And so that's simple. There's always, the purchased car. And I think I'll be looking, we have 2 new EVs coming out in the next year. So there's the EV5 and the EV4. I was leaning EV4 for the next one because I don't like SUVs, honestly. I like sedans. But the girls got to see it in person and told me I should probably reconsider that.
The EV5?
No, the EV4.
Yeah.
And that it may not be what I'm looking for, but the EV5 very well might be. You know what? It'll be an EV for sure. I don't plan on changing jobs by then, so it'll likely be a Kia. And I would honestly, I love the EV6. I think it's incredible. The EV9 is gorgeous, bigger than I need. I have one child.
Yeah.
But the EV6, the EV5 maybe, EV4. But yeah, my wife on this one has told me nothing but EVs for her. She loves everything about it. It's quiet, it's comfortable, and even though I'm spending more money, I'm getting a lot more luxury for that too. And yeah, it made total sense to me.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, hopefully if you guys are listening to this, that answered some of the questions and also just was able to give you a different perspective. Is there anything else you want to add?
if you can, I would say there's a lot of, I encounter customers who are like, no, I would never go EV, not until they have 600 kilometer range, not for this.
I'm not doing that much range in a day.
But no, most people don't, right?
I'm not doing that much range in a week.
Even if there was a time when I worked in Toronto and I commuted there and I hated it so much I moved there. But it was an hour-long commute, and even that, the cars are more than, they've got twice as much range as you're ever going to need for that drive. And so I'm not saying, if they can figure out battery tech that's 600, sure,
then
okay,
that's sweet. Yeah,
why not?
Awesome. Bring it on.
Where we're at is more than adequate. I have a 9-year-old, so even when I know I'm going to, I pull over 3 times on the way to Barrie for bathroom breaks. Do you know what I mean? So if I need to, I can charge always.
Yeah.
And it's I would, if you can rent one, maybe try it. I don't know. I mean,
that's a decent point.
It's because it's not what you think, and you may or you may not like it. But it is not the naysaying. They're not perfect. No car is, but if you're worried about 500 being enough, it's because you're thinking about saying, no, what if I wanted to drive for 8 hours straight? Well, okay, but who wants to do that? I don't.
I've done it.
I've done it too, but I have to stretch my legs. I have to go to the bathroom. I get hungry.
I don't love it.
Yeah, that's all.
So there you go. Well, thank you for joining us.
Hey,
thank you guys for joining
anytime.
us. We're hoping to make this a little bit of a series, so keeping with some of the same questions and asking a couple other EV owners. And if there's any more questions that you guys want to add on, feel free to leave them down as a comment down below. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Bye.